So how do you think? Obviously, moving forward, you've already mentioned the space on wheels, the movable space in that sense, and that's obviously with automation and the digitalization, autonomy, everything that comes into that. That's going to be somehow limited in terms of what you can do from an exterior perspective, because at some point you will get to a point where all these vehicles need to talk to each other. They need to have a certain purpose. So we're all almost going back to pragmatism in that system as well. So at that point, the sketch will not just bring you onto the job anymore. If we take that idea a little bit further. So what do you think if we take back this idea of that the car designer of the future doesn't necessarily design a car anymore? What do you think from your own experience, over the past 2 decades or so, but also with the students that you have taught, is something to move forward that is absolutely, you know, it's just like a must-have that you need to have as a designer, apart from the sketching that just needs to be there to succeed.
Right. Well, I think going back to the notion of choice and personal taste, the real question is if you're going to own it or if you're just using it.
Hmm.
So the 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 role of the designer in that equation is you know extremely critical because even if let's say mobility is completely democratized and you can have a robot come and pick you up at your front door, um, or you can still own a car if you want to own a car that could platoon in with fleets of other vehicles that are platooning down the highway. The distinction between whether it's shared or owned is going to be critical as the starting point. The function has to be different, the materials have to be different, but there will still be choice, and there will still be ways of expressing taste. Like right now, you know, even if you're extremely wealthy, you may choose to stay at a Holiday Inn versus the Hyatt or um, one of the higher end hotels. So I don't see transportation being any different. Um, Car designers that can understand that distinction and still offer real value and experiences uh, in a safe shared scenario will still, I think, distinguish themselves from those who are strictly only trying to make something functional in shape and safe. For example, you look at the Ollie, right?
Hmm.
This is just pure, expression of a volume that will accommodate 6 to 8 people, and the way it's manufactured. There's very little um, regard for the way that thing looks, right? It was very, very secondary to its function. It doesn't have to look like that. It's just a very early iteration. Um, and while the volume might not change and the seating positions might not change for a shared mobility experience, certainly the um, the appearance of it and the care with which designers um, address specific human pain points and needs will definitely be opportunities for somebody to express their role in the world. Do I want to travel um, with Virgin Atlantic or do I want to travel on JetBlue? You know, it's the choices are always going to be there, and and this gets into one of the other things that you've been writing about on LinkedIn and so on, and that's the with all these technologies in manufacturing that are coming on, and the sort of cycles of contraction expansion in the industry, a lot of the young designers in school now may be working in a more gig economy like social structure where perhaps they're working for one company who has access to an electric platform to do their body work, and the next year they're working for some other company with completely different parameters because the service is going to be where the money is, not the manufacturer. Selling miles, not selling cars.